What's up guys, welcome back to Otterwood Games. Thomas here, and today I wanted to talk about my goals for March and also how my goals for February have gone. For February, my goal was to catch up and get all of my Chaos Knights assembled and painted. That did not fully happen. I did manage to finish the big knights, so I got my Knight Ruinator, which is Bigfoot. And then I also got my Knight Abominate done, which is Mothman. With these, they do come with quite a bit of extra time and effort with the sculpting. I also did have a solid week where I basically spent all my free time working on Magic the Gathering, which I'm not ashamed of or anything like that. I really felt motivated to work on that at that time. So I enjoyed working on that and taking a break from what really was a bit more of a mentally taxing project. Of course, Mothman, while it was a very fun project to do, it actually was almost a little bit easier in some ways than the Bigfoot was. So with Bigfoot, I was able to finish that one, and Bigfoot obviously has some more physically sculpted elements on there. So taking it on was a bit more challenging, and it did cause me to procrastinate a good amount, just out of fear of messing it up and that sort of thing. And while there are some elements on there I think I would like to potentially revisit in the future, or if I were to redo it, do it differently, I am very proud of how my Bigfoot came out, and I'm really excited to get them on the tabletop, probably for 11th edition. Also with Bigfoot, I tried a few new kind of techniques with the kind of oxidizing of the flamethrower head, which I definitely want to touch up in the future. I think I could make it a little bit better, but I got the general gist across. And also Bigfoot was a lot of a exploratory exercise as well. I needed to know what overarching elements will connect my knights together. So such as the teeth that are kind of protruding from some of the armor trim are all going to be painted as teeth across all the cryptids and the Chaos Knights going forward. So there was a lot of things that I was kind of stapling into this faction and that sort of thing, which caused Bigfoot to take a lot of time. And I think that caused me to procrastinate a little bit more on Mothman, because I saw the amount of time it took me to do Bigfoot and was equating that to Mothman, not really at the time realizing that a lot of that staple stuff is out of the way, and you know, Mothman is its own beast, literally. And you know, it was going to have its own challenges, sure, but there were items on it that were going to take far less time. So really, after I got the sculpting done and getting the wings put onto the back of it, Mothman was a breeze compared to Bigfoot. I basically painted the whole thing over the course of the equivalent of like 2 or 3 days of painting, because it was just priming it black, doing a dark silver over everything, and then pumping it up with the high chrome silver on the rest, and then doing all the little details, the touch-ups, the teeth, the painting of the black, and that sort of thing. And then it just kind of all came together out of nowhere. I was able to really pump up and spend a lot of time on the plasma gun, which I'm really proud of. I really like the way that it looks. I may go back in and add some OSL on the areas around there, just to kind of pump that brightness up a lot more. But for the most part, I'm really pleased with how both of these came out, and it does make me excited to continue building and adding to this collection of cryptids. Obviously next I have an armature kit, which will build 2 of them. I haven't fully decided which kind of cryptid they'll be. They'll be based off one of the bigger cryptids that I'm doing, which outside of Mothman and Sasquatch, I will also have the Greys as well as Lizardman. And we'll kind of see if I add any other ones in the future, but I am excited for some of the design directions I have planned for those, and we'll see if one of those ends up in the armatures. But that was for February. Obviously, I would have loved to get all of them done, so that way that is just another thing off my painting desk. But after I finished Mothman, I was just, basically it was the end of last week, if you're watching this at time of recording, and I knew I just had 1 week left, and at the same time I also managed to get my hands on the Tau stealth kits, and that made me really excited to build and paint those to be able to play Tau again before the end of 10th, and I wanted to definitely get those done. So that kind of feeds into what my goal for March is. And my goal for March is going to be building and painting the stealth team, kill team for Tau. I've already got them primed, and honestly, one of the kits is almost done painting at this point. I plan to work on them as of time of recording a little bit more today while I'm at the shop and hanging out with some people before going to the pre-release for TMNT for Magic. So I'll probably get a little bit more done. Won't get the basing done this week. And then obviously I still have the other kill team to finish painting and that sort of thing. I did pivot from my old stealth suits. So my old stealth suits are more painted like everything else in the army, but I decided since these stealth suits are meant to be kind of the subordinates for the larger ghost keels and kind of like in essence kind of working their way through the ranks to get to the stealth suits, I thought it'd be cool to incorporate the camouflage kind of scheme that I have for the ghost keels into these. So you'll see that I've actually added some details on them that reference that. The one team will be sort of the tiger stripe pattern, which I really have enjoyed painting. I think it's a really cool effect. And the other one will be more of a traditional, more blotched kind of camouflage, which is what I currently have on the other ghost keels. Once I finish these two kits, I do think I'm gonna have more time in March. I don't really want to set a goal right now because right now I don't really know what I'm going to be motivated to paint after I finish these guys. I may end up pivoting and doing more Tau. I still have 2 units of crisis suits that are either assembled and mostly painted, or I have one that's just fully new in box. And I may pivot and decide to paint those and finish that up and get my Tau backlog caught up, which I think would be great. But right now, I don't really know if that's what I'm going to be motivated to, because I also have some Tyranid stuff that I think would be really fun to paint. And I might move into either doing a couple of the Raveners or doing some Warriors, because that's just what's in my backlog right now. And as we talked about earlier this year, for my overarching 2026 goals, one of my goals is to add another 1,000 points to my Tyranids, and so that'll just help me kind of disperse that over the course of the year, being able to knock out some of the units that have more models within them, so that way I can save some of the bigger beasties for the rest of the year when I just want to have a project that I can do maybe in a week or a weekend to finish and paint those and kind of get the busy work and maybe some of the more boring work out of the way earlier, so that way I can just kind of cruise for the rest of the year. Outside of Warhammer, I've obviously gotten back into Magic the Gathering. As I stated before, I'm going to the TMNT pre-release Friday and going to enjoy that with some friends that I play Commander with. And then I have my cube to work on, which is done. It's ready to play. I'm excited to get some guys together to play that hopefully soon, so I can start to tune that. Outside of the cube, I am working on a battle box. This battle box will basically include a deck for each of the 3 color sets in Magic the Gathering, and they're all going to be budget. So the idea is that every card's going to be under $1. The idea is that they're all going to be roughly equal power level, maybe that of a pre-con, maybe a little bit stronger, and then also be able to be handed to newer players. So I'll have some decks that are beginner friendly and still competitive with the other ones. And then I'll also have some that are a little bit more complicated that I'll enjoy playing, or, you know, some veteran players that they may enjoy playing. And I'll just be continuing working on those. I only have a couple more decks to list out. And then probably over the course of the next few months, I'll be buying the lists, sleeving them, play testing them, and that sort of thing with my play group, seeing how I like it, and working my way toward having a nice big box full of a bunch of decks that, you know, I can lend to friends and that sort of thing. I don't know, I've found myself not really wanting to build super competitive decks anymore. And I never really played like competitive EDH or anything like that. I do have a couple decks that can definitely throw punches like those, but not to the degree that bracket 5 CEDH is. They're definitely like bracket 4s for sure, and being able to tackle tables that include bracket 5s most likely. But really, I've just kind of enjoyed the more casual aspect of Commander, and also looking at some commanders that are intriguing to me, and that's one reason I wanted to build this box, be able to build all the 3 colors, or all the 3 color sets rather. And then if I find a deck that I really like, I can take it out of the battle box and then tune it to a level more equivalent to what the rest of the guys are playing, and then replace that deck with another budget brew. And at that point, you know, there will be possibly new commanders for that color set, and I'll be able to build off of those or build a different one that I found interesting when I was originally making the list for that sort of thing. So that's kind of what I've been working on and what I will be working on through the month of March. I'm excited to kind of go on that with you guys, and you'll probably see some videos this month of me working on those things and maybe some hobby catch-ups and that sort of thing. But now I'm going to leave it to you guys. Let me know down below what your goals for March are, and we can talk through it, and I'd love to encourage you or to have you guys encourage me. Nope, we're not going to do that. That's really cringy. Let's try this again. Now guys, I'm going to leave it down to you. Please let me know down below what your goals for March are, so that way we can keep each other motivated through this month as we see how we do at the end of it all. So thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you all in